Big Rab Show Podcast is kindly sponsored by G1 Reeds. They are the champion's choice, with many bands around the world playing G1 products, providing everything you'd need to hit the circle or the big stage. So, check out g1reeds.com as they keep the lights on here at the Big Rab Show Podcast.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another Big Rab Show podcast. Well, what a weekend that was, eh? Dumbarton did not disappoint, and we have a lot to talk about. Yep, we have crowned our Scottish champions already. It's kind of crazy to think, like, no time since we were talking about the start of the season, then here we are. We're finished with Dumbarton, and we're rolling into August now, towards the big one. Oh, it's exciting. It's exciting. But before we get into all of that, of course, this week's topic of the week will be all about that. Let's go through our introductions, though, first of all, shall we? Well, if this is your first ever Big Rab Show podcast, then you are welcome. We are the show for the bagpiping folk. We reflect everything in the bagpiping world, be it Celtic music, folk music, or indeed our bread and butter, which is competitive piping and drumming. Each and every week we're here talking about what we know and love to be the music of the great Highland bagpipe and its people. And yes, that old cliche does ring true, and we plug it every week for good reason. Yes, we do have a Patreon. So if you would like to help support our show and help us do what we do, then you can. There's a link in your show notes right now to our Patreon where you can get treated to loads of extra goodness. Now I'm talking... There's episodes of Rab Show Plus up there. There's our weekly Fuse FM Ballymoney radio show that goes out live 2 hours every week. Last night's show was a lot of fun. There was a bit of debate, actually, about Pulkemet. Yeah, that we started a bit of a row. Yeah, and if you're anyways curious as to why we were fighting about Pulkemet, you can go and check that out on Patreon. But yeah, a lot of talk about Pulkemet Pipe Band last night. That was a lot of fun. And you can go and check that out on Patreon. It's up there now. If you do want to go and help support the show, click support and you'll get your mitts on all of those extras, including our Fuse FM show every week. And you can join in on the Pulkemet argument. There you go. Plus, you'll be part of the Patreon faithful and you'll be immediately awesome. Yes, indeed. So, yeah, I have my sound effects machine back again. Sorry, folks, it's back. But some people seem to love it, some people not so much. But, hey, it's back again. Right, let's get into this week's show, good and proper. With every Big Rab Show podcast, we do open the door to listener mail. And this week is no different. bigrabshow@gmail.com is the email address. It hasn't changed from the beginning. And, I've got an anonymous email here that I'm going to start the show with. It was saying, "Hi. I was wondering if you could give a mention to my drum sergeant, Angus McMillan, and say that his 4/4s and 6/8s are great." That's it. Okay? Okay, so, I'm not going to read any of the rest of it, who it's from or what, but yeah, just wanted to give a shout-out this week to drum sergeant Angus McMillan. There you go. Yeah, and you can do that on listener mail, by the way. You know, some people always think that you have to have some sort of hard-hitting commentary or, like really interesting, intricate questions to do with reed selection or something. No, it could just be that, just to give someone a shout-out and say, "Hey, can you give my drum sergeant a shout-out?" Absolutely. Yes, of course we can. So, yeah, that's that listener mail. Other bits of listener mail we've got this week will all help fuel this week's topic of the week. We're going to be delving into every aspect of the Scottish Championships from Dumbarton. We have a lot to unpack there, and it seems to be everyone in the piping scene has an opinion. And, we have a lot of weekly drones on this topic as well. Oh, poor JD has been flat out busy this last while with weekly drones, man. And we're going to do a little bit of catch-up here. We do have, I think, upwards of like 10 or 15 weekly drones on the shelf at the minute. So we're going to do our best to catch up. But don't worry, we're not going to completely sicken you with weekly drones. But there's a lot there to get through. All right? So we'll get through all of that in this week's topic. And that's pretty much it for listener mail. Everything else has been sorting out logistical stuff behind the scenes for upcoming events. Of course, not going to plug it too much this week, but just want to mention our event at Piping Live is ahead. Yeah, well, our events, plural. We have 2 of them. Yeah, we've got 2 live shows at Piping Live, in case you aren't aware of it. We're going to be there in the Bothy tent at the National Piping Centre on the Wednesday and the Thursday. And we've announced the lineup for both of those shows. Now, some people are being quite smug in themselves and saying, well, if that's the lineup, well, I'll maybe think about getting a ticket. I don't know. I might get one. I might not get one. Well, can I tell you this? I know we've announced the lineup for both shows, okay? But that's not the entire lineup for both shows. No, it isn't. We have some surprises up our sleeves. Yeah, Big Rab Show live at Piping Live. Yes, we have announced the official lineup for both days, but we do have some surprises up our sleeves. Some big guests and some big performances that you're not going to want to miss. I'm not going to say any more, okay? Because I am notorious for letting the cat out of the bag all the time. I always give the game away. So I'm not saying any more. That's it. So, yes, if you haven't got your festival pass for the festival site at Piping Live, then my advice is to go and grab one now. You can go online, get them bought ahead of time, so then whenever you arrive on the day at the venue, all you have to do is just show your pass and say, "Hi, let me in," and then that's it. No hassle. Otherwise, you're going to have to go and look for a box office and purchase your ticket, and then it's a whole thing. So avoid all that. Buy it in advance. Walk in through the gate as if you own the place, and then we'll see you there for Big Rab Show live at Piping Live twice this year. Oh, man, I can't wait. There you go. All right, shameless plug out of the way. Right, and I promised myself I wasn't going to plug it too much this week, but yeah, there was a lot of conversation about it last night on Fuse, a lot of questions, and it was a lot of fun, actually. So, yeah, but we do have some surprises for you. Genuinely looking forward to it. Man, it's going to be so exciting. Anyway, and do you know what I'm kind of wondering about is which show is going to be the best one? You know what I mean? Like, whenever we're doing 2 shows, that is one going to be better than the other? I honestly can't pick. But anyway, I'll let you guys decide and you can let us know. Let's fly on to our next feature. Of course, one of our favorite features are on the show, Weekly Drone, which is an open microphone to the bagpiping world. It's a way for you out there to send us in your thoughts and feelings, completely warts and all. And yeah, JD will read them out here on the podcast. And yes, the anonymity here is the appeal. And that's what we're finding. The people in the scene are actually now really actively using this feature to voice some quite strong opinions. And we'll get into that in our Scottish Championships wrap-up later in the show. But yeah, there was one weekly drone that we didn't manage to get broadcast following the UK Championships. And JD, I think we should lead with that one. So, okay, here's a weekly drone from a couple of weeks ago following the UK Championships. Lay us on us, JD.
It's the weekly drone. Timekeeping. Rab, with the Grade 1 contest over in a blink on Saturday, a lot of the focus was put on Grade 2. By the end of the grade, it was running more than 20 minutes late, but bands weren't told this until they got up to final tuning. Timing a tune-up is tricky, but in that heat, a delay of more than a couple of minutes can be the difference between sound and drones peaking too early through no fault of the bands. Sort it out, guys.
Yeah, I did hear about this issue at the UK Championships about things not running to schedule, and as a result that did hamper a lot of the preparation for our bands. Now, not just in Grade 2, I know that the Weekly Droner mentioned it there, but it wasn't just Grade 2 that was affected. There were other grades on the day that also had difficulties with preparation. And yes, timing for sound is absolutely critical. Now that I've been sort of competing as a bagpiper, I now realize the importance of timing. There is such a thing as either underblowing or, what more commonly happens, it seems, overblowing. You can do too much and you can push that tone over the edge and then it's gone. You just can't get it back no matter what you do. So timing is critical. And that's where sort of our RSPBA stewards should normally be really on the ball. And 9 times out of 10, that has been my experience. Our stewards and RSPBA normally do a cracking job of keeping things running. And it was just one of those things. It was unfortunate with the UK Championships. Things just didn't run to schedule. And yeah, it did create some problems. So yeah, I don't know quite who to blame for that. Whether it was, the organizers, the stewards, the people at the arenas and stuff, I don't know. It's a difficult one. But I'm sure every event does have its challenges. And with the UK Championships, it did seem that there was quite a number of challenges on that particular day. Never mind the schedule. There was a pile of other stuff that needed immediate attention. But yes, Weekly Droner, I take your point. Timing is absolutely critical when trying to put on a performance of peak sound. And any stewards listening to the show right now, I'm sure are probably nodding their head and going, yeah, that's a fair cop right there. But I do know 9 times out of 10, our stewards are honestly quite amazing at keeping things running on time, aggressively so. I'm not going to name names, but some stewards out there have a reputation that you do not mess with. And if they tell the pipe major, let's go, then that's it. The pipe major has no argument there. It's time to go, folks. And that's it. Anyway, so yeah, good luck to our stewards. That is a difficult one. But yeah, they are there essentially to keep things running on time. All right. JD, let's move on to our next weekly drone then, shall we? Now, that one there was following the UK Championship, so just full disclosure, that's what that was referring to. But all of these next weekly drones that we received have all been received after the Scottish Championships. So, JD, we have a number of these on the shelf. Give us the first one then, will you?
It's the weekly drone.
Grade 2. Big Rab team, I listened to your last podcast about Grade 2 and how one listener distinguished the top Grade 2 bands from the others, and perhaps suggested that there should be a Grade 2A and a Grade 2B. Grade 2 is such an important grade for bands on the way up. When you move from Grade 3A to Grade 2, expectations change completely, and suddenly you find yourself with bands knocking on the door of Grade 1. It's a proving ground. Have you got what it takes to enter the elite zone, or will you crash and burn into anonymity? It's really tough to get established in Grade 2, and it's also the point at which you find out if you can attract drummers and pipers who want to go on the journey with you to head for the top. Some bands make it into the prize list in their first few years. Not many. Some do not. But you need to allow time to build from Grade 3A to the top of Grade 2, so putting another barrier in the way in the form of an A and B grading within Grade 2 would be really unhelpful for those bands with ambition. It's not called the ridiculous grade for nothing. The top half of Grade 2 at majors is incredibly good, and it helps to lift the ambitions and standards of those in the lower half. Long may Grade 2 continue to function as one grade with a wide variety of ability. One thing we can say is that all of it is good. For those critics of the lower half of Grade 2, have a go at playing at the standard yourself. It's not easy, but it is fun.
Yeah. Weekly Droner, I'm going to set out my stall early here, and yes, I completely agree. There's been a lot of strong opinions following last week's podcast when we did talk about that, the possibility of splitting Grade 2 into a Grade 2A and a Grade 2B. And as you've just heard there, that Weekly Droner has set out the stall to explain that, yeah, Grade 2 is very much a proving ground for Grade 1. Absolutely. And yeah, perhaps splitting that Grade 2 grade into A and B would just add another step on the ladder, perhaps introduce an unnecessary barrier. I do agree. There's a lot of bands in that Grade 2 at the moment who are absolutely knocking on the door of Grade 1. It's, unquestionable. You know, you listen to the standard in Grade 2 now. Honestly, we've been calling it the ridiculous grade now for a long time, but it's for good reason. Every band in that grade 2 circle are definitely worth their salt. Now, I know people always say, oh, Rab, get off the fence. But genuinely, you could sit down at grade 2 and watch the entire run all day and be thoroughly entertained. The music in there is just fantastic. So, yeah, as our weekly donor was saying, some bands can go into grade 2 and perhaps languish there a bit. That was my experience in grade 2. I competed in grade 2 for, it must have been the guts of 13 years during my drumming career. And it always seemed to, the band that I was with at that time, we were always sort of knocking on the door of greatness. There was some runs where we just absolutely were singing, and, you get good days and bad days. And that's the joy of grade 2. Grade 2 is so competitive that the margins are so slim. And that, in a way, is an introduction to what it's like in the top flight. Whenever you hit grade 1 and you put that drum on and walk into the circle, or you throw the bag under your arm for that matter, but haven't got that experience. But yeah, the margin for error in grade 1 is non-existent. It is absolutely scary, the standard in grade 1. And grade 2 genuinely does set you up for that. So yes, if your band does happen to take a full 10 years in grade 2 to get to that grade 1, well then that's 10 years well spent, in my opinion. I know for those players that perhaps have been in grade 2 for 5, 10, 15 years, it is a very difficult grade to get out of. That's because that jump from grade 2 to 1 is so big. And genuinely, honestly, like our weekly droners just said there too, that jump from 3A to grade 2 is also a massive leap as well, and can take a number of bands a bit of time to get the grass under their brogues before they can really start the ball rolling and see the silverware coming in. So, yeah, it is the ridiculous grade. I completely agree with our weekly droner that splitting it between a grade 2A and a grade 2B, I don't think would be the right answer here. I think that would definitely just add another rung on the ladder that you need to climb to get to grade 1. So, yeah, I don't know. You guys out there can tell me, oh, Rab, you're absolutely full of it. That's absolute nonsense. And it is absolutely stuff that Rab got wrong. Yeah, you can email me in about that one. bigrabshow@gmail.com. But yeah, I am of the opinion splitting grade 2 into A and B. Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan of that idea. Anyway, JD, I believe we have more weekly drones. Come on, mate. Let us have the next one.
It's the weekly drone.
Summer schools are for learning. I recently attended a piping summer school that had some really big name instructors. Over the course of the week, the atmosphere went from fun to awkward to almost depressing. I was shocked at the end of the week to discover that students were filing complaints with the school over the instructors because the instructors were being mean by correcting their playing. I learned that students were refusing to play during class and demanding to work with different instructors because they were so insulted and offended that someone might dare to correct their playing. My question is, why on earth would you attend a school if you think you already know everything? And how dare you complain that an instructor is doing their job? Most of us are eager to hear the instructor's critique, and we spend lots of money and traveled great distances to attend. If you don't like the instruction, next year stay at home. And if those instructors are listening, I'm sure you know who you are. Please don't let a few bad apples ruin the experience for you. The vast majority of us respect and appreciate you, and we very much hope you continue to teach at summer programs. We're so sorry you had to deal with the scrutiny that you did. Your tutelage is invaluable. We hope you continue sharing your knowledge with the world.
Yes. Weekly Droner, I did hear some negative reports following the RSPBA summer school. Now, as to what exactly you're referring to there with complaints being filed and stuff like that, I didn't hear anything about that. So That's interesting. However, the premise of it is sound. I think you're right. That whenever people go to the likes of a workshop, a piping school, drumming school for that matter, regardless, the aim should be that you'll learn something. And yeah, you shouldn't really walk into a teaching or a learning environment, knowing everything. And I'm going to hazard something, right? I'm going to put a controversial statement out there. Of all the people we have spoke here to on the podcast, over all the years that we've been doing this on the Big Rab Show, there has not been one person that has ever claimed to know everything about bagpiping. In fact, we've spoke to some of the biggest names in the game, like Willie McCallum, for example, Richard Parks, Stuart Little. We've spoke to a lot of the big names, and all of them will tell you that they never stop learning. Even these grade 1 big shots that are winning prizes all around the place. Trust me, folks, every day is a school day in the bagpiping world, and I think that's what makes this game so interesting. It's the mastery of it, and the pursuit of that mastery is why we love it, because you never do quite reach that peak of the mountain, even when you have won the Glenfiddich Championship. I remember speaking to Jack Lee on the show here once before, following his Glenfiddich Championship win, and he said, yeah, there's always the next mountain to climb. Winning the Glenfiddich, absolutely, it's brilliant. It's, like a huge achievement, and I'm so chuffed with it. But there was things with my performance that I would like to, to get better. There was always something there that he would like to improve on. And, I don't know about the attitude of the students that were attending said school or the tutors that were attending said school. And yeah, because I don't know exactly what happened there could well be a more sinister story there. But yeah, I think with this, it is concerning. Both, the approach from the student and the approach from the tutor may need to have some redress here before the school opens its doors again. Anyway, so we have experienced this not just with the RSPBA school, the summer school, but with other like workshops and focus sessions and things like that. A lot of people have attended these with a view that I'm not really going to learn anything here. I know everything there is to know about playing strathspey. What am I going to possibly learn from this? And with that attitude, with kind of a closed mind to things, then what really are you going to glean from it? But, it doesn't have to be the biggest name in the piping game as well that's possibly teaching you how to play in 2/4 time, for example. Something simple. But even, it doesn't need to be a huge big name filled with a wealth of experience to be able to teach. It could be someone who lives down the road from you, who perhaps has been playing for a year or two longer. You can always learn something. And, I don't know, that weekly drum, whenever I first heard it, whenever JD sent it in to me, I was really quite concerned about it. And I don't know if it's necessarily a fault of the school, the tutors, or the pupils themselves. It's a collective. It's a whole mess, I think. So it's difficult to know who is exactly at fault there. It's a complicated one, that. But I would like to know your opinions on this. As much as it is the responsibility of the tutor to teach the student, there is also a line of responsibility there for the student to want to learn. Yeah, I'll get off my soapbox now. But that's my opinion. You can let me know again if this is stuff the Rab got wrong. Yeah, I'm getting a feeling I'm going to get some angry emails this week. Anyway, let's move on. We have one more weekly drawn, I think. Yeah, and then that'll do it for this week because we've got so many. All right, JD, let's have the last weekly drawn for this week, mate. Go on ahead.
It's the weekly drone. Help. I see that you guys are asking for additional help again. Looking for more volunteers to help cover things this season. This should be seen as an opportunity for all the keyboard warriors out there who are not happy with your coverage to step up and help. You guys have been putting up with so much negativity from the piping public, demanding more videos and better live streams. Well, now is the chance to do something about it, people. Step up to the plate and help the team present the best possible coverage. one that meets your high expectations. I think you'll find it's not so easy when asked to actually do the work, rather than just complain about it. Hoping you'll get some truly passionate people willing to help and put the work in for all of us around the world who are eager to see the performances.
Yes. Weekly Droner, you're absolutely on the money there. Yes, we did put an advertisement out on our social media asking for more volunteers. Now, just to give you a bit more of a fuller picture as to why we were asking for more volunteers. Well, we're very aware that the European Championships are fast approaching. And yeah, we were looking at our plans of what grades we wanted to cover, you know, how we were going to film each one, get them uploaded to YouTube and stuff, and then also do the live stream of the results of everything, possibly cover some of the drum majoring action as well. And we realized that we were pretty short on the ground. Our Scottish correspondents that we had out there on the grass were competing that day. And given the draw times and everything, yeah, we found that a lot of things were clashing. And to actually have a camera at an arena at a certain time was proving to be very difficult. So we needed help. We needed more people, basically, who was available at the time that we needed to point a camera at a pipe band and film them and then, yeah, send us the footage so we can share it with you guys, you know? Now, it's one of the things that, our weekly droner did allude to, that we have come under a bit of scrutiny this last while, saying that our coverage isn't good enough. You're not doing enough. You're not doing well enough, etc. And the Scottish Championships was a testament to that. We didn't manage to film the entirety of Grade 1 at the Scottish Championships this year. But that's for a good reason. Again, it was because of our availability of our team members, who were all incredibly busy on the day of the Scottish Championships. They were all competing and had conflicting priorities of both their bands and, to be in the circle and try and win a prize as well as try to lift a camera and film stuff. So a very challenging day. We'd done the best we could. We did manage to capture a number of bands in the Grade 1 circle for you and a number of other grades for by. So we got some of Grade 3B, got some of 3A as well. I think we have some videos of the drum majoring action about to go up there as well shortly. So we're working on it. So the Scottish Championships were very challenging and we done what we could. And it was just down to, volunteer availability. Yeah. So whenever we were looking at Perth and we were thinking, right, the Euros is coming up, the Worlds is coming up, obviously, as well. How are we going to do this? So, yeah, we just had to put out the call and ask for people to help. That's how this works. If we aren't available because we're all competitors, then we need additional help. And I can tell you this. We had an absolute influx of emails from all around the world. I know, and it was absolutely amazing. I can't tell you. There has been times before where we have put out calls for volunteers and stuff, and we got bupkis, we get nothing. But for some reason, this year, we've had volunteers from Belgium, what do you call it, Tibet? Yeah, we had someone from Tibet actually messaged us. I've had a bunch from the United States and Canada. We had a couple from Australia and New Zealand. And thankfully, we also got a number of people here in the UK willing to help us as well. So, yeah, expect a lot more coverage coming up in the next few months. So, our planned coverage that we had, the bare bones minimum from Perth at the Europeans, it turns out we're going to be able to cover quite a lot more. And not just here in the UK, for that matter. You're talking a lot of piping and drumming internationally as well. And we're really excited about that. So that is definitely a result in our book. And thank you so much to everyone who has reached out to us as a result of our advertisement on our socials and has offered your time. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. It's something we've been trying to put across here on every show now. That us here in the Big Rab Show team, we're not millionaires. We're not making an absolute fortune at this. We dedicated a full pod to this before. But yeah, we're all volunteers who are passionate about the music and the piping scene. And this is why we're here. We're trying to promote it in the best way possible. And how we attempt to do that is to record our bands and then share them out there globally through the internet and telling people, hey, look at all these amazing performances. Here's all the action from the circle. Don't you want to give this a try or even attend an event and see it in person yourself? You know, so that's our focus. We want to showcase our bands, our music, and share it on a global scale. And yeah, it seems to be a lot of you people out there are now jumping at the chance. So thank you, everyone. Genuinely, it's really exciting. So yeah, I'm hopeful for the future. Our plans for Perth and the European Championships now are well in place, and we definitely have quite a number of personnel now on the ground who'll be covering things for us in the Euros. So yeah, we will get the action in grade 1, obviously, but now we have plans, hopefully, to cover additional grades, which has always been a common complaint. So we've done our best for the Euros. There you are. So hope that answers all of that weekly drone. And yes, if you do want to help support us, you can, of course, and you want to be a part of the team, you can email us, bigrabshow@gmail.com. Yeah, if you have experience in the piping scene, if you have a passion for this music, of course, that's essential. But also, if you have access to a smartphone or are quite handy at possibly pointing a camera at things and filming things, then definitely get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. And it doesn't just have to be from the UK, all right? Now, yes, we have a number of volunteers recently who just joined us, so that's brilliant. But yeah, if you are listening internationally right now, we're also talking to you. We want to know about your piping scene in your particular locale. And yeah, if you have an event or a Highland Games or something coming up and there's going to be a band at it, then perhaps film it for us and send it in. We'd absolutely love to see it. There you go. All right, so that's quite a lot of weekly drones and half an hour worth of an introduction. Yikes. So, yeah, this week's news and updates is going to be cut a little short, all right, because we're already running on with time. But we do have some news and updates that we need to get through before we do get as far as our topic of the week. So, I'll be right back after this.
Right, folks, I want to tell you about a brilliant new app called MusoLink. It's from Matt Fraser. Yeah, the same guy behind the B-flat tuner. And it's all about helping you track your music practice smarter. You can record your sessions using AI, add notes, get reports, and keep yourself accountable. But what really makes it stand out is the social side. It's like Strava for pipers. You can follow your mates, give them kudos, leave comments, and stay motivated together. Loads of bands are already on board, including Scots College, Hawthorne, and loads of others who are making big moves. So, if you're prepping for this year's World Championships or just want to get better, search for MusoLink on the App Store now. And once you're there, why not give the Big Rab Show a follow and we can push each other over the line. Do you wish piping could be fun again? Bagpipers around the world continue to struggle with their instrument, despite hours of hard work trying to get better. Bagpiping should be fulfilling. Your hard work should pay off, showing improvement and the freedom to express yourself musically. Or why do it? The Dojo University believe every piper should be able to free themselves from musical frustration, proven over more than a decade of successful teaching and accessible anywhere with an internet connection. The Dojo is unlike any other bagpipe learning experience in the world. Let the Dojo channel your enthusiasm into a fun and fulfilling program that will empower you with the knowledge to fall in love with piping all over again. So go to dojouniversity.com/Big Rab and take advantage of our 30-day free trial of Dojo Premium membership. Join the global community of students today and rediscover the fun of bagpiping. dojouniversity.com/Big Rab for a 30-day free trial.
Okay, time for the news and updates. And let's start with competition that's going to be happening this weekend. Of course, Maxville. I can't wait for Maxville. Oh, man. The North American Pipe Band Championships opens its gates or to give it its full title, the Glengarry Highland Games, which are the home of the North American Pipe Band Championships. Yeah, we spoke about this earlier on in a previous podcast where we did talk about the sheer prize money that was on offer here. Seriously would make your head spin. You know, like first prize in grade 1 is $3,000. $3,000. Yeah, and winners of grade 2 get $1,600, etc. The amount of money on here, oh man, talk about prize money for bands, that's fantastic. But the draw itself for the Glengarry Highland Games, honestly, is fantastic. So yeah, I am very excited for this weekend's competition in Maxville. Honestly, it's one of those competitions that's kind of on my bucket list. There's the Glengarry in Maxville, and then there's the Chicago Highland Games. I'd love to get to them as well. Anyway, I'm waxing lyrical about contests I want to go to. But yeah, this weekend sees the Maxville competition open its gates, and man, we couldn't be more ready for it. So with a bit of luck, we're hoping to see a lot of videos and little clips and stuff from what will be an incredibly exciting competition. So best of luck to everyone that's going to be hitting that circle between grades 1 and 5. Yeah, we will be watching with interest online to see everything that takes place there. So, yeah, I don't know. The full draw is available now. You can go to the PBBSO and you can read through the entire draw. It has all the solo stuff there as well as all the band stuff. There's a lot to get through. Seriously, a lot of competitors here. So, yeah, I will be watching all of this, including all of us here living internationally. We're going to be paying keen attention here. Yeah. So there you go. Good luck, everyone. Have a good tune. And, yeah, Maxville. That's going to be so exciting. But not only is Maxville opening the gates this weekend, well, also here in Northern Ireland, we have the 72nd Ulster Championships, which are taking place in Portrush. Yay! Indeed. We are back in Portrush, which is honestly one of my favorite venues for a competition. Now, this is going to be different, though, from the usual Portrush fair. All right. Now, what I mean by that is normally when a competition is held in Portrush, it's held in Ramore Head, which is used to be on tennis courts and all that kind of stuff up there. But now that's all been redeveloped. It's completely different. For the last few competitions, I guess, the competition was held in a car park, which was a bit strange. It worked, but it was a little strange. Well, things have now changed. They have moved it to a completely different part of the town on the West Strand. Yes, just as you're heading into the town there, before the train station, the West Strand. Now, this could be an absolutely cracking venue because you're right on the seafront there, and the views over the coast there is just going to be breathtaking. To think of the photographs you're going to get, man. Oh, unbelievable. So really excited to be heading to the West Strand then for the Ulster Championships. The draw is currently available online. Again, similar to Maxville. We're going to briefly run through the draw for the Ulsters yet because I haven't had a chance to do that yet. So let's get a look at 4B. With 10 bands in here in total. We have Kirkustown, Joseph Ford Memorial, the Major Sinclair Memorial. We have Brady Ulster Scots, Rafferty, McDonald Memorial, Tullylagan. Yep. Have to give them a shout. Yeah. Down Academy, Letterkenny and District, and the Queen Elizabeth. And that's your 4B. Moving on to 4A then, we have 8 bands in total. We have Cottown, Thiepval Memorial, Moneygore, Grantia, Altneve Memorial, Rafo Ulster Scots, Down Academy, and Marlacoo. Moving on to Grade 3B then, we have 8 bands in total. We have Drumlock, William Kerr Memorial, Moneygore, Sirland District, Grantia, Upper Crossgar, Ballyboley, and the Cleland Memorial. There you go. So a number of bands playing up and stretching their legs there. Moving on to Grade 3A then, which is the biggest grade on the day. We have 13 bands in total, and again, including some of those that are playing up a grade. We have Upper Crossgar, William Kerr Memorial, the Major Sinclair Memorial, Drumlock, Clochran District, Clochfin, Cullabaccy, Irvine Memorial, the Matt Boyd Memorial, McNeilstown, Kildogue, Sirla District, and Ballyboley, and that's your Grade 3A. And that's a big grade there. Starts at 1:15 in the afternoon and finishes around 2:30. So that's quite a long day there for the judges on 3A. Good luck. Moving on to grade 2 then, again, we're seeing a number of bands playing up here and stretching their legs in a higher grade. We have 9 bands in total here. We have the Matt Boyd Memorial, Clock Finn, Irvine Memorial, and then Tullylagan. Then we have Kildog, St. Joseph's Clondalkin, Manor Cunningham, McNeilstown, and the Major Singular Memorial. There you go. Now, we do have a Grade 1 competition on the day. Of course, it is the Ulster Championships. You would expect to see quite a number of Grade 1 bands in here duking it out. But, we just have the 2. We have Closkelt and Ravara. And there has been some online commentary saying that people are disappointed not to see Field Marshal duking it out for an Ulster Championship. Yeah. But, as I mentioned before, a band the size of Field Marshal Montgomery, it sometimes can be difficult logistically to get everybody in one place at one time for, the likes of an Ulster Championship. It can be challenging. So, I don't know. I've done my best to defend them there, but, there we are. We have 2 Grade 1 big guns in there duking it out for that Ulster title. So, this is going to be exciting for a multitude of reasons, all right? Now, the Ulster Championship is kind of seen as a big deal here in the Northern Ireland branch, and it's quite highly sought after. It's quite similar to the All-Ireland Championships in that regard, and that a lot of people really want that Ulster title. It is really quite coveted. So, good luck to everyone competing at Portrush this weekend. And, we're going to be soon wrapping things up at the Heart of Down Championships, where the draw of which was just done last night, actually, at the point of me recording this. And there we will be unveiling our Champion of Champions as well. So that's all going to be happening in Donard Park and Newcastle. So we'll talk about that in a future pod. But, just wanted to give a shout out this weekend to 2 upcoming competitions this weekend. Of course, Maxville. That's going to be insanely good. And then we have right here, we have the 72nd Ulster Championships. Very much looking forward to that. If you do want full information on all things Ulster Championships, of course, including your parking and all that kind of stuff, you can go to the rspbani.org, where they have all that detail published there. Again, I really have to sing the praises of the organising team for these competitions. You know, the amount of information that's available now on their website is just brilliant. The amount of questions we get here on Rab Show asking about competitions. Hey, Rab, can I bring the dog with me? I can't leave it at home, because if I do leave the dog at home, sure, the dog will all over the carpet, and then you get the idea? So, if you do want information on what to do with your dog, so it won't all over the carpet, then you can go and check the website, rspbani.org, for all of your information for all future upcoming competitions to do with the Northern Ireland branch. There you go. That's a bit of fun. But honestly, the amount of information there is just fantastic. Yeah, well done, RSPBA Northern Ireland. All right. I want to swiftly move on to another bit of news here to talk about the European Championships. Now, there has been a recent redraw of the Grade 1 competition. Now, as to the reason behind this, not entirely sure. There's multiple different possible stories or reasons why this could have happened, but there has been a redraw. And just let's go look through the draw now for the Euros. It has changed in Grade 1. So, looking at the order of play, we now have Johnstone, Manawatu Scottish, yes, from New Zealand. We have Inverary, St. Lawrence Tool, Field Marshal, Closkelt, Shotts and Dykehead, St. Thomas Alumni, Scottish Power, People's Ford Boghall and Bathgate, and Police Scotland Fife, wrapping things up. And that's both the same for MSR and for Medley. There you go. Now, as to why it was redrawn, not sure. I don't know why the reason is. If anyone can tell me if the draw is significantly different from the previous, or even if you know the reason why it had to be redrawn, then let me know. But I am oblivious here, folks, so you can let me know. But the Euros, honestly, looking at the draw, we've spoke about this before in previous podcasts, but the Euros is definitely a very healthy competition. Looking at the numbers here, that's going to be some competition. So we're looking forward to that. Yeah. All right, let's fly on. We do have more news. We have to talk about the South African Championships, which took place this past weekend in St. Benedict's College there. Yes, we spoke about this in the previous pod about how exciting this was all going to be, including an appearance by the Northern Ireland Drum Major display team who were going to be there, including Emma Barr, who was going to be doing various workshops, some tuition things and all of that. Very exciting. So, yeah, if you've been following the Northern Ireland Drum Major display team on their socials, they've been enjoying themselves. Let's say that. They've been going on all sorts of crazy adventures, going to theme parks and going on safari as well and seeing like rhino and buffalo and giraffes and elephants and all sorts of, wow, it's amazing. So they seem to have an absolute whale of a time there in South Africa. But yes, they were there to do the business and they were there to, provide tuition and direction and also there to compete as well. And so, yeah, full congratulations to all the bands on offer here. The full results are published online. You can go and read at them. And because we're kind of pressed for time, I'm just going to look at the Grade 2 competition. And congratulations to our Grade 2 champion, Transvaal Scottish. You! Well done. So, yeah, I'm going to quickly fly over to the drum majoring because there was a drum majoring competition and the open drum major competition went to Lewis Anderson. Yes, well done, Lewis. Good stuff. So, yeah, full credit to everyone there at St. Benedict's College. I've been told that the event was an absolute success, so well done, everyone. And, yeah, it's great to see a lot of drum majoring action on offer here as well as the bands. And, yeah, I've been told that standards of some of the performances in here were just blistering, so I'm very curious. I haven't seen any videos or that yet from the South African Championships, but I'm definitely keeping a keen eye on that. So if anyone does come across any of those, please do share them with us here on the Rab Show, and we'll definitely share that out with our audience, yeah. All right, let's move on. Okay, just today, at the point of me recording this, there was an announcement put out from the RSPBA headquarters themselves. Now, normally, whenever announcements and that get published, yeah, you do like to try and pay attention, don't you? So, yeah, I paid attention to this one because it's really quite interesting. Yeah, the World Pipe Band Championships practicing in Glasgow. Oh, right. Okay, so the statement reads as follows. Now, I'm going to read this verbatim, all right? Now, so no one can accuse me of being stuff that Rab got wrong. It says, ahead of the World Pipe Band Championships on the 15th and 16th of August, bands are asked to be mindful of noise disturbance and disruption to local residents. When practicing in Kelvin Grove Park or other local parks, bands are asked to move to the centre of the park to refrain from practicing around the periphery, especially if adjacent to residential areas. It is recommended to be at least 100 metres away from residential properties. Practices should not commence before 9 a.m. and should be concluded by 8 p.m. I'm going to give you that line again. Practices should not commence before 9 a.m. and should be concluded by 8 p.m. I'm going to let that one percolate for a little while. I'll move on. Bands should also ensure that all park management rules are adhered to. Fair enough. And then they give a link and everything for, the city park management kind of criteria and all of that kind of stuff. Thanks all bands for your cooperation. Now, the reason why I slowed down and I repeated that particular line there about practices should not commence before 9 a.m., this did pose a question. For bands that were going to be competing on the Saturday, there's quite a number of bands that are drawn at 9 a.m. So that poses the question. Hold on a second. If we're competing at the Worlds and our draw time is 9 o'clock in the morning, are we not allowed to tune up? And we're not allowed to warm up and get ready? Because, yeah, according to the statement, practices should not commence before 9 a.m. Oh, boy. All right. So, yeah, we did a bit of a due diligence on this, all right? And as it turns out, you do need to read between the lines. They're asking bands not to practice in close proximity to residential areas. And as you know, where Glasgow Green is, and also where Kelvin Grove and all that there is people who live pretty close by to those parks. And what has happened in the past is that a lot of bands would turn out to, just practice outside of someone's house. At like 7 o'clock in the morning, they would start striking up. Right, boys, Scotland the Brave and Roundtree, let's go. Right, now, right, relax a little. You know, maybe move away from the front garden of someone's house and move it a little bit more inland. I think that's what they're asking for here. As for the 100-meter distance from a residential property, I'm not sure how that's going to be enforceable, but also I'm not sure how it's going to be effective, because if you've ever stood 100 meters away from a pipe band, you can still definitely hear them, you know? Anyway, so this statement that came out from the RSPBA today, we understand it. We know why they're doing this. Perhaps the way it was communicated, though, maybe just not as crystal clear as it could have been, because it does leave a lot up for interpretation. But, yeah, we did do due diligence with this, contacted HQ as well, and we did get instruction to say, yes, if you are competing at 9 a.m. in Glasgow Green, you absolutely can warm up before 9 a.m. All right, so your worries can be dispelled, okay? So you can arrive early in the park in the morning and get your band ready to be on the line for 9 a.m. There's no concerns there, because Glasgow Green, you know, as long as you're not practicing and getting ready outside of someone's house, you should be good. You're good to go. Glasgow Green's quite big, and you can find a lot of space that's away from residential areas, so you should be good. So that's the instruction. All right. Okay. So for everyone that's been kind of sending me the link and going, Rab, what's the crack with bands that are starting early, boy? They can't practice now. Yes, you can. You can. All right. Let's move on. Okay, just yesterday, there was an announcement from Glasgow Sky Association Pipe Band. Don't know if you managed to catch this or not, but everyone knows that Shots and Dykehead Caledonia are going to be hitting the stage this year at the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall. Well, the announcement from Glasgow Sky is that there's only 20 tickets left. What? Yeah, seriously, there's 20 tickets left for this show. So if you haven't got your ticket yet, at this point, what are you doing? Yeah, you should already have your ticket bought for this. Yeah, the Solace concert, I can't tell you, will be just amazing. All right, we know that Shots can put on a show, and listening to them recently at the Scottish Championships, whoa, doggy. Yeah, I cannot wait to see them on stage, man. It's going to be such an exciting show. So if you haven't got tickets yet, at the point of me recording this, by the looks of it, there's only 20-odd tickets left, and trust me, that'll go in the blink of an eye. I can guarantee next week's podcast, I'll probably be here telling you that it's sold out. So if you haven't got your tickets yet, I don't mind even if you pause the pod right now. You know, go and buy tickets for it now. Avoid your disappointment. And I'll see you there. Yeah, it's shaping up to be quite an exciting night, that. So, yeah, grab tickets early for it, folks. That's my advice. Also, I want to talk about merchandise sales as well. And People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate have some limited edition merchandise following their concert last year, Caberfy. Of course, everyone's got the album now. I'm sure pretty much everyone I know has a copy of it now. But what they're selling now is T-shirts and posters and music books and actual transcripts and stuff of the sheet music. And wow. So if you are a Boghall fan, then now is your opportunity to go and grab that stuff. Okay, it's up there now on their website. They've shared out links and everything. And they've even released a brand new limited edition T-shirt as well, with the big stag's head that's all blue and red. And it's very cool. Very, very cool. I was nearly sorely tempted to click on buy, so it was already. So yeah, shout out to Boghall. That merch, very exciting stuff. There you go. Also, for RSPBA merchandise fans, I know there's quite a number of you out there that go to the World Championships every year and stand in those crazy long queues at the merchandise vendors. Well, now you don't need to do that. I don't know, but it seems quite strange. But perhaps there could be some within the top brass of the RSPBA who do listen to this show, and perhaps they may have taken some of our advice around fundraising. That's all I'm going to say. Well, the reason I'm saying this is because they have launched an online store where you can now go and buy your RSPBA merchandise. Yeah, you can go and buy a T-shirt from the Europeans, a hoodie from the Scottish, or you can even pre-order your stuff now from the World Championships. Yes, now we know ourselves from experience that the merchandise vendors at the Worlds, they sell out every year. They're absolutely cute around the corner. And by the time you get there to, can I have a hoodie, please? No, they're all gone. All right. Or we only have a size extra small. You know, come on, I'm Big Rab, for goodness sake. Right, so yeah, my advice is go to rspbay.com. All right, see what they've done there? rspbay.com. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's a play on words. rspbay.com. And you can check out all of that merchandise right now. And yes, you can buy merchandise from previous competitions. But yeah, I definitely have my eyes on some of the World's stuff. The branding is subtle. I'll say that. Yeah, it's not real flashy. It's not going to be in your face. But yeah, it's really cool at the same time. So if you are anyways curious, I go along now, get your RSPBA merch. And just looking at the site now, like a t-shirt, you know, ranges in price from about 22 quid. I think the hoodies are, they're 45. 45 quid for a hoodie, that's quite reasonable. And then you get all the other usual fare, like tote bags and towels and things like that. Go and check it out. If you do want to help support the association, there's your opportunity. Tons of RSPBA merch now available. Go and grab it. There you go. And you can be merched up even before you get to the Worlds. And say, hey, I got my Worlds t-shirt. I know it hasn't happened yet, but here it is. Look at me. So there you go. rspbay.com. There you are. That's cool, isn't it? And it's kind of funny how we spoke about that on a previous podcast. And now here it is. Funny that, isn't it? Okay, I am going to get into this week's topic. Don't worry. I know there's everyone here is going to be hitting fast forward very soon. But I just want to give a mention this week to Inverary and District Pipe Band. As we know, their huge 20th anniversary ball is fast approaching, Monday the 11th of August to be precise. Tickets are still available for it. If you do want to go and grab that, you can go and check Inverary and District on their socials and go and grab your tickets for it. But that's not what I want to plug. I want to talk about something that they're doing that's really quite exciting. Yeah, they have a special auction. Yes, they're going to be launching an auction for all sorts of sweet Inverary and District swag, including something that I think every piper is going to want to get their mitts on. A brand new, unique set of Duncan McRae SL4s from Macallan Bagpipes. Now, they have published a video on their socials of Stuart Little actually playing these pipes and showcasing them. And they've been absolutely beautifully engraved in silver with Inverary logos on them. Go and check out the video, all right? Obviously, Stuart plays a blistering tune on them, and that's class. But you can actually enter this auction from the 4th of August. And, you could be in with a chance. You could possibly lift yourself a set of Duncan McRae SL4s. Whew. Wow. So for more information on all to do with this auction that's coming up, and then go along to Inverary and District Pipe Band on their socials. You don't have to go to the ball to be able to be in with this auction. Yeah, that's one of the things they put out on their socials, that this will all be hosted online. And no matter where you're listening right now, around the globe, you have an opportunity here. So, for full details, of course, and go and check out Inverary on their socials. What an opportunity right there. Okay, before I do move on, I just want to give a very quick mention to Rhys Doherty. Yes, shout out to Rhys, who recently won a solo competition there as part of Belfast Tradfest. Yeah, now not only does he win the title of winner of that competition, but he also does go on to have an opportunity to represent the country in the McCrimmon Trophy. So there you go. What's not to love about that? But just wanted to give Rhys a bit of a shout on the show this week. Shout out to you, Rhys. Congratulations, man. From what I've seen, it was quite a blistering competition there. Yeah, plenty of good tunes played. And shout out to Belfast Tradfest at the minute. You know, the amount of piping that's on offer at this festival now, it's scary good. So, workshops aplenty, lots of great traditional music and piping incorporated all through it. It's just fantastic. So, well done to Rhys Doherty, winner of the annual solo competition there. It's just fantastic. And, shout out to Tradfest. Belfast Tradfest is just going from strength to strength. Go and check their socials for more details on events and that coming up and events past as well. Good stuff. All right. Now, I'm going to very briefly gloss over this. I know there's a lot more to talk about here, but I just want to give a shout out to, first of all, to Flam 5. Yes, they put out an announcement on their socials that they have quite an exciting restock of all of their drum cases. And yes, version 3 will be upon us, and they have told us all the details as to what to expect from this new version, including additional padding and an issue that was affecting the 16-inch tenor drums. I think they've rectified that as well. So a lot of the little things that, as they're noticing, they're continually improving as they go along, including one of the things I really love about their cases is their bungee straps that just make them so comfortable to carry, Gone are the days of struggling with those hard cases. And, those were a nightmare. Although they were handy to keep beer in, I suppose. Anyway, moving. The Flam 5 cases are now going to be on version 3 with this exciting new restock. And for more details, go and check out Flam 5. And they had a whole bunch of merch at the Scottish Championships. Yeah, they had a stall there, and apparently they made quite a killing. Yeah, everyone was picking up Flam 5 merch, so it was brilliant to see. So well done. All right, moving on to the Maverick Chanter. Now, for the longest time, I have wanted a Maverick Chanter. These things are just a thing of beauty. I don't know if you've seen one up close or not, but these are the chanters that are, how do I describe them? If you haven't seen them already, they are, people have called them the candy stripe chanters. They're like multicolored. The one I'm looking at right now is like a green and a black color, like different stripes and stuff, but absolutely beautiful. Now, the Maverick chanters, I have spent the longest time slobbering over their Instagram content, and some of the photographs of these amazing instruments are just brilliant. And the tone and the sound that you can get from these practice chanters too is just brilliant. Well, the reason we're mentioning Maverick this week is because they have now unveiled the Maverick Mark II. Oh, man, I can't tell you. If you wanted a Maverick chanter before, well, go and check out the Mark IIs, because I think you might be in trouble. I can hear my wallet crying from here. Yeah. Shout out to Maverick chanters. These are beautiful, and I cannot wait to see one in person. Looking at all of the kind of the media around this launch and everything, the photographs that they have and the little video clips and stuff, these look incredible. And wow. So, yeah, we're going to have to catch up with them this year. I do hope that they will have some sort of a presence, either at Pipe and Live or at the World Championships. But yeah, shout out to the Maverick Chanter crowd. They're doing incredible work. And if you haven't seen the Mark IIs yet, do yourself a favor. Head along to Maverick Chanters on their socials. Have a look at the photographs and the video clips and stuff. These things look absolutely beautiful. Yeah, so you're going to want to grab that and add that to your collection. Yeah. Also, I have to give a shout out to show sponsor and good friend of the show, of course, the ES Session Chanters. Seems to be a lot of people are picking them up recently. And myself, of course, here, I've been doing plenty of piping with it myself. And I've been attending a lot of sessions with it lately. And that's what I've been finding with Belfast Tradfest, to give them another mention. A lot of the Highland pipers that are attending Belfast Tradfest would find themselves playing along with other instruments that are perhaps in other keys. So, yeah, it's just brilliant to be able to change out one stem to another and just instantly be in another key and just play along with everybody else without having to worry about, I need to transpose that down a step, don't I? And then you're there trying to figure the music out instead of just playing it, So, yeah, shout out to ES Session Chanters that have been used a lot at Belfast Tradfest. And, yeah, I'm going to give them a shameless plug as well. It's definitely a very versatile instrument and definitely worthy of your attention if you are in the market for a chanter. Yeah. All right, folks, I am going to leave it there. Now, I am very aware that there's a lot of news and updates that we could definitely have covered, but we're going to swiftly move on at this point. Also, before we get into the topic, I'm going to give one last shameless plug. I have to give a mention to everyone who has contacted me following my recent appearances on BBC's Pipes and Drums here on Radio Ulster in Northern Ireland. Yes, I've been sitting in this last while and, keeping the wheel turning there on Pipes and Drums. And honestly, I've said it before, the moment is not lost on me. It is just an iconic show. And, I'm still pinching myself that it's my dopey voice that's on there. Playing piping and drumming on Radio Ulster, honestly, is a real privilege. And, yeah, thank you to everyone who's reached out and said, "Hey, Rab, great show. A lot of you have been enjoying the music and everything." And, Yeah, that's exactly why I'm there. So don't forget, it's on every Sunday now at 6:30 on BBC Radio Ulster, Radio Foyle, and of course on BBC Sounds anytime. You can't catch up on previous episodes if you did happen to miss any. So yeah, go and do that. So if you do want some piping and drum action from the BBC, then you can go and head over there and you can hear my big old voice over there blethering away, but thumping out some big tunes. There you go. So yeah, shameless plug for pipes and drums. And looking forward to this week's show, by the way. It's going to be a good one. I've got quite a selection on offer for you this week. I spent a bit of time on the playlist for this one. Can't wait. All right, so go and check that out. Shameless plug. Okay, let's move on. I think it's time for me to finally go and get myself a big cup of tea. Yeah, it's time for the topic of the week.
Kingdom Thistle Pipe Band Supplies for all your pipe band and marching band needs. Supplying everything from uniforms and instruments to custom designed bass drum heads. They offer it all. Not forgetting their exclusive Kingdom Gilly Brogues and George Boots, crafted by bands for bands. Kingdom Thistle provides expert product advice and an industry-leading drum refurbishment service to keep your equipment in top-class condition. Also, shipping worldwide. So, stop by their store in Fife or visit them online at kingdomthistle.com for all your pipe band and marching needs. Ready to take your playing to the next level? Say hello to the ES Session Chanter, the ultimate practice chanter designed for versatility and durability. Crafted from stainless steel and aluminium, the chanter comes equipped for both an A stem and a B flat stem, giving you the freedom to play along with any instrument, anytime, anywhere. Whether at a band practice or a trad session, the ES Session Chanter keeps pace with your creativity. Included with the chanter is the custom carbon carry case, the perfect addition to this compact and tactile instrument. To get yours, head to essessionchanter.co.uk.
Hello, this is Fred Morrison, and you're listening to the Big Rab Show.
Okay, time for topic of the week. And you've waited this length of time to hear my thoughts and opinions on all things that happened in Dumbarton. Now, yeah, we're going to have to mention it, all right? Dumbarton did kind of lose a little bit of its excitement because of where it's placed in the calendar. Normally, we mentioned this last week, Dumbarton is seen as the last chance that bands have to have a good dig at each other ahead of the big game. But, as you now know, that's not the case. We have another competition fast approaching in Perth that we have to look forward to. And that one will be all sorts of exciting for that reason. So, should we be concerned or interested in the results of Dumbarton, even though it isn't the last contest before the Worlds? Well, absolutely, yes, because the action on offer here in Dumbarton was just fantastic. All right. So, yeah, as much as we're going to go through the grades and look at the results and everything, I just want to give full credit to everyone that was in the circle at Dumbarton this past weekend, regardless of the grade. I was thoroughly enjoyed with all of the clips and videos that we managed to capture and stuff. It was just all gold. So well done to everyone involved at the Scottish and Dumbarton. Yeah. All right, so we're going to kick things off. Looking at the results then, we're going to start with our junior drum majors. All right. Kicking things off, our junior champion, Scottish champion for 2025 is Lydia Todd from McNeilstown. Woo! Yes, well done, Lydia. Yeah, and in second place on M&D preference was Harry Couples from Sirland District. Yes, well done, Harry. In third place was Willow Rose Elliott, and in fourth place was Molly McMahon from Altnavay. There you are. So that was your top four in the junior grade. Quite a large grade of drum majors there, with 10 in total ticking to the field. So, but yeah, full credit to Lydia. I think it was more than a little happy. I think the cheer that went up for Lydia was just brilliant. So yeah, well done to Lydia Todd, Scottish champion. Brilliant. Moving on to our juvenile then. Our juvenile Scottish champion for 2025 was Louise Smighton. Whoa! Go on, Louise. Yes, from Closkelt, of course. There you go. Shout out to Louise. And if anything, if those of you have seen our video of the march out of the Field Marshal Montgomery, yeah, you might have seen that Louise Smighton actually led the Field Marshal out of the field that day. So, yeah, what a brilliant moment. You know, Field Marshal being Scottish champions, spoiler. Louise also being a Scottish champion and having the honour to lead Field Marshal off the field was just a brilliant moment. So, yeah, shout out to the Rab Show team who managed to capture that. So you can go and check out that video now. It's up on the Rab Show YouTube channel. Quite a special moment, that. That's really cool. Moving on. In second place then, runner-up on the day was Jamie Lee Wilson from Brady Ulster Scots. Yes, well done, Jamie Lee. In third place was Carries Graham from Down Academy. Yes, and in fourth place was Catherine Spears from Burnt Island and District. There you go. So our junior competition had 7 in total. Yeah, so again, quite a big grade here. Yeah, just not quite as big as the junior grade, however. But yeah, a lot of stiff competition in that juvenile grade. Yeah, it's not easy there. Yeah. All right, let's move on to our adults then. Yeah, senior drum major, Scottish champion for 2025, Gib Fraser from the Royal Borough of Annan. Yes, good one, Gib Fraser. Now, you managed to lift the top spot on M&D preference, so that tells you that things were kind of tight at the top there, as they say. In second place was Liam Renton of Inverary District. Well done, Liam. In third place was Ryan Murdoch from Scottish Power, and in fourth place was Rebecca Cox from Troon Blackrock. There you go. 10 drum majors in total in here, including quite a number. I think 4 in total from the Royal Army of Oman. So it's brilliant to see them duking it out already so early in the season. Normally we would only ever see them either around the Euros or the Worlds. So yeah, it's great to see them stepping out for the Scottish. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. So there you go. That was your drum majors. And congratulations to Gib Fraser, their Scottish champion for 2025. Yeah, I think to say he was a little bit happy about that one. There you go. All right, let's get into the bands then, shall we? Now, yeah, starting with Novice B. Our winner on the day with ones right across the board was Oban High School. Yes, well done, Oban High School. 2 first in piping, first in drumming as well, so Scottish Drum Corps champions, and a first in ensemble. Quite a convincing win there in Novice B. So well done to Oban High School. In second place was the High School of Glasgow. Yes. Third place was Falkirk Schools. And fourth in ensemble preference was Kintyre Schools. There you are. Also finishing in fifth place was North Lanarkshire Schools. He actually finished in the runner-up spot in the drumming. So, yeah, not a bad weekend's work there. In sixth place then was Lochgilly High School. And that was your Novice B. Yeah. All right, moving on to Novice A. Yes, winner on the day, West Lothian Schools. Yeah, with quite a good run, actually. Did manage to hear it, and very competitive. With 2 firsts in piping, a first in ensemble. However, they were third in drumming because the champion drum corps on the day, George Watson's College 369, they lifted the drumming and finished in that second spot. In third place was Lochgilly High School. In fourth place was Dollar Academy 990. And in fifth place, North Lanarkshire Schools. In sixth place, Oban High School. There you are. So, yeah, quite a competitive grade with a bit of a mixed bag of results, you know, between drumming, ensemble, and piping. It does make for interesting reading there, but it does show you that Novice A grade is in a state of flux right now. There's a lot of bands that could be chipping away at that top spot, you know? So, is it set in stone just yet? I don't know. That's arguable. It's anybody's, really. So, yeah. But congratulations to West Lothian Schools, our Scottish champions for 2025. Moving on to our juvenile grade then. Winners on the day with ones right across the board. Yeah, George Watson's College, their juvenile band. 2 firsts in piping, drumming, ensemble. They lifted the lot. Well done to George Watson's. In second place, the runner-up was Dollar Academy. In third place then was George Heriot's Schools. Fourth was Preston Lodge. Go on, the PL. Yep, and in fifth place was Renfrewshire Schools 1225, to be precise. There you are. Now, I'm not going to mention the number thing after each band. There's a number of theories out there as to the numbers. I think we mentioned this in a previous pod as we were reading through the draw, and we were querying why there were numbers listed after each band. Well, clearly it's there to help differentiate between them all. So, yeah, I think that's the case. But, yeah, if you have your own theory, you can let me know. Email me in bigrabshow@gmail.com. Let me know about the numbers. Anyway, let's move on. Grade 4B. Yes, our Scottish champions for 2025 in 4B, Dumfries. Yes, go on, Dumfries. What a result, man. Yeah, and quite a convincing win as well, with 2 firsts in piping. Yeah, had a brilliant run. Second in drumming and third in ensemble. That was enough to pull them into that top spot there in 4B. Well done, Dumfries. In second place was the City of St Andrews, who also had a cracking run as well. 2 seconds in piping. However, the drumming was a little bit down the pecking order. They were placed 7th in drumming, 6th in ensemble overall, but their piping, managed to pull them into that second spot. So well done, City of St Andrews. In third place was Dunoon Argyll. In fourth place was the First Troon Boys Brigade. Yes, well done. In fifth place was City of Discovery. Yes, and sixth place was Uddington Strathclyde, their Grade 4B band. There you are. So, again, a bit of a mixed bag. Yeah, prizes-wise, or placings-wise, I should say. Because, right, I'm going to mention it, okay? And, you can all disagree with me, but looking at Uddington Strathclyde here, okay? I know I'm mentioning names, but they had a 6th and a 7th in piping, okay? That's not too much of a disparity or disagreement there between judges. They had an 11th in drumming, so maybe not the best run in drumming, I guess, but a first in ensemble. Now, again, there's this anomaly, but arguments between the ensemble judge and the drumming judge. That's 10 places between 11th in drumming and first in ensemble. That don't make sense. Now, it happened quite a number of times in this grade. For example, the First Troon Boys Brigade, who finished in 4th, they were 10th in drumming and 2nd in ensemble. Yeah. And then later on, further down the pecking order, Paisley and District, RBL, who actually lifted the drumming. Yeah, they won the best drum corps in 4B that day. They placed 11th overall, and they were 10th in ensemble. So, I don't know, folks. Is this stuff that Rab got wrong? All right, but is this something we should look at? The X factor that is ensemble. I don't know if there should be such big disagreements between our drumming judge and our ensemble judge. All right, now I'm going to be controversial there, okay? And you folks can shout and yell at me all you like, but it's just confusing to me. All right. Now, again, I wasn't in that circle. I didn't hear what that judge heard, and especially I didn't know what they were listening for. That ensemble judge could be listening for something completely different from what the drumming judge is listening for. And that's maybe why we're seeing the differences of opinion here. But it does make for quite an interesting read, doesn't it? Whenever you see such big changes of opinion between drumming and ensemble, it's an interesting one now. Yeah, but congratulations to our Scottish champions, Dumfries, who definitely played for it. Well done. And, of course, to Paisley and District RBL, who lifted the drumming. Well done, folks. All right, moving on to Grade 4A then. And, of course, you'll have heard by now, our Scottish champions in 4A, Govan Community. Yo! Yes. Oh, man, what a cheer that went up from that band when that was announced. Wow, what a moment. And yeah, shout out to Govan Community there. They were more than chuffed to lift that Scottish Championship. They also managed to lift the drumming on the day as well. And to give out their full placings, did 2/3 in piping, first in drumming, first in ensemble, and that was enough to pull them into that top spot there. So well done, Govan Community. In second place was Cooter and District, and I think they were more than chuffed with that result as well. In fact, they uploaded a video of them singing on the bus on the road home, and it's the stuff of legend. I can't even remember the song now. I'm not even going to attempt it here on the pod, but shout out to Cooter and District. It was just brilliant to see you all singing on the bus on the road home. Very enjoyable stuff. I had a big silly grin on my face watching you all celebrate. It was brilliant. In third place then in 4A was the Vale of Atholl Pipe Band. Yes, their 4A band there. Yeah, sounding strong. In fourth place then was William Wood. Yeah, a bit of a mixed bag that day. Yeah, so they had a first and second in piping, however, an 11th in drumming and 6th in ensemble, and that was enough to put them in that fourth spot there. So plenty of potential there, William Wood, yeah. In fifth place in 4A was the East Ayrshire Caledonia Pipe Band. Yes, and they were more than chuffed as well to hear their name read out too. Big cheer. And plenty of support from the audience as well. If you might have been watching our live stream from the results, you would have noticed that quite a number of their supporters were standing behind our camera, and they gave them a heck of a woohoo. It was brilliant. So then in 6th place was the Rate pipe band. Now, am I completely pronouncing that wrong? I probably am. It's spelled R-A-T-A-E. Rate. Is that wrong? If it is, I apologize. I'm not pronouncing band names incorrectly on purpose. All right. But yeah, full credit to you in 6th spot there. Breaking that top 6 bracket there in 4A especially is a difficult one. So yeah, well done to everyone, especially to Govan community, of course, who were well chuffed. Now, again, you can let me know my first ever major championship that I won as a lead drummer was in 4A. And from what I remember, it was the Gordon Jelly Memorial Shield. And I have a very soft spot for that shield because it was, pride of place on my mantelpiece for a couple of years. Yeah, so I managed to win it for my first time as a lead drummer, and then I won it back again. I defended it a couple of times. Anyway, I have a soft spot for that because of my first ever major I won. Can Govan community tell me, if you're listening to the pod right now, is it the Gordon Jelly Memorial Shield? I think that's the case. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. That's a personal question from me. But yeah, I have a soft spot for that major championship there. So well done to Govan community, Scottish champions. Moving on to grade 3B then. This was an exciting one. Yeah, a lot of great music played in here. And congratulations to Scottish Borders, who lifted the top spot. Yes, well done, Scottish Borders. Did so with a first in piping, first in ensemble, however, a 5th in drumming. But still, that was enough to pull them into the top spot there. Well done to Scottish Borders. In 2nd place was Wollaston District. Yes, another great weekend's work there for Wollaston. 3rd place was Elgin District. Yeah. Now, I haven't heard the performance from Elgin yet, so I'm keen to see that. Yeah. In 4th place then was Kilbarchan. 5th place was the Lower Clyde Pipes and Drums. And in 6th place was the City of Manchester. Yeah, who additionally played a big sound that day. Yeah. Now, I'll have to give a mention to Tweedville, who managed to pick up the drumming. However, they placed in 7th place. And unfortunately here, in grade 3B, we're starting to see another difference of opinion here between both the drumming judge and the ensemble judge. Because Tweedville, they lifted the drumming, so it's first in drumming. However, in ensemble, they were 11th out of a 13 bands in the grade. So, yeah, that's, again, 10 places of a difference here. Yikes. So, and then Kilbarchan as well is another argument between the drumming judge and the ensemble judge. Kilbarchan had a 12th in drumming, however, 3rd in ensemble. I don't know. I'm going to start roused now about arguments between drumming judges and ensemble judges. But again, going to stress, I'm not in there with the clipboard, and I'm certainly not an aficionado expert of ensemble judging. And it's definitely the grey area, isn't it? But it was clear to see that both the drumming judge and the ensemble judge were listening for different things. Yeah, interesting that. All right, but congratulations, Scottish Borders. Definitely deserved champions there. Well done. Moving on to grade 3A then, which was possibly the biggest grade on the day with 22 bands in here. Yeah, that was a long day for the judges in here. But let's go through the results, shall we? Of course, you probably know by now our Scottish champions for 2025, Texo D-Side Caledonia. Yo! Absolutely. Oh, hold on. Let's give them a proper... There you go. That's better. Yeah, shout out to Texo D-Side Caledonia. Yeah, 2 firsts in piping, 1st in ensemble, however, a 3rd in drumming. Yeah, but still enough to pull them into the top spot there. Well done to D-Side. In 2nd place was Macanta. Yeah, and again, they done so with a bit of a mixed bag, prize-wise, or placing-wise. Yeah, they had a 5th and a 2nd in piping, 6th in drumming, 2nd in ensemble. And points-wise, that was enough to put them in that runner-up position. Well done, Macanta. In 3rd place was Clocker District. Yes. 4th place was Uddingston Strathclyde. Go on, the Uddy. Yeah. In 5th place, an ensemble preference was the Major Sinclair Memorial and a band that I told you to pay attention to in that grade, the City of London. Yes, they cracked the top 6 in there. Quite a huge achievement, yeah. So well done to the City of London. Really did play a good set, by the way. I did have a concerted effort to go and listen to them, and I found a wee clip online, and yeah, sounding really good. Well done, City of London. So yeah, again, a bit of a mixed bag and some arguments here between the judges. Again, I have to give a mention to the Major Sinclair Memorial, who had a 14th in drumming and a 5th in ensemble. Yep, that was one argument. Another one was Uddingston Strathclyde, who finished in 4th place. They had a 12th in drumming and a 4th in ensemble. Okay, are you getting the picture here? But one of the biggest disparities on the day, well, there was a couple of them in here. Of course, our drum corps champions in here, McNeilstown. They lifted the drumming, which was absolutely brilliant. And yeah, if you listen to the run, they played for it too. Well done, McNeilstown. However, they finished 11th overall, so not the best day in the office for McNeilstown. However, yeah, I want to talk about 1st in drumming and 18th in ensemble. Now, that's 18th out of a possible 22. Ouch. So a big difference there of 17 places. Now, there was others as well. Have to give a mention to Pitlockery and Blair Athol Pipe Band, where the drumming judge had them 2nd, and the ensemble judge had them 22nd. So that's a big difference of opinion right there, folks. Now, you know, I don't know, as much as I'm picking holes in this, you know, again, I'm just trying to reinforce that argument that, you know, the drumming judge and ensemble judges seem to be arguing a lot over what makes a good performance. What essentially could be a great run for a drum corps might not be a great run for ensemble. Maybe that's what we're learning here. So I don't know, but we are definitely seeing disagreements of opinion here across the grades. But grade 3A showcases that, I think, better than any other on the day, and I'm sure we'll get into more of it later. But yeah, full credit to Texo Deeside Caledonia. They definitely had a thumping good run, and if you haven't heard it yet, do yourself a favor, go and check it out. It was absolutely clinker. And also, shout out to all the other bands that have, you know, broken that top 6 ceiling. Well done. I think you all deserve a massive pat in the back. But yeah, that grade, there's a lot of bands in there, man, that can thump a tune, you know? So, yeah, it's an interesting one, that 3A, for sure. We're not out of the woods yet. All right. Don't start talking predictions just yet. All right. Let's move on to the ridiculous grade. Oh, it's time for grade 2, baby. Now, this one was the topic of discussion around our dinner table now for the last 2 or 3 days. Oh, we're about to get into the reasons why. All right. Congratulations to our Scottish champions, Uddingston. Yes. Wow. What a run from Uddingston. If you haven't heard it yet, oh, man. That Uddingston band, they're not a band. And I mean this in the best possible way. That is an army of people marching, and you better not stand in their way. Whew! Wow. Uddingston have a massive tone, big sound, and ultra confident. And that's how they hit the line each time. Seen them a couple of times now this season, and each time they just seem to be a real force of nature. You know, I can't describe it any other way other than ultra confident, absolutely full of gusto, and you better not stand in their way. That Uddingston band are very intimidating. They sound amazing. So, yeah, they lifted their Scottish championships with 2 firsts in piping, 4th in drumming, and a 2nd in ensemble. What a run. Seriously, go and check it out. In 2nd place was the Glasgow Sky Association. Again, giving Uddingston a run for their money. They were nipping at their toes. With that 2 seconds in piping, 6th in drumming, and a 1st in ensemble. Yeah, the Glasgow Sky. I get another big set there. Wow. Man, it's so entertaining at the minute. In 3rd place then was the Royal Borough of Annan, and they lifted the drumming as well. And yeah, I can't take it away from them. Their drum corps were absolutely clicking. I don't know what Annan were doing, but man, was it good. Shout out to Annan. And in fourth place then was our All-Ireland champions, Manor Cunningham. And they actually finished with a runner-up in the drumming as well, so well done to Manor. In fifth place then was Grampian Police Scotland. Yes, now they had a bit of a mixed bag result-wise. They had 2/3 in piping, however a 12th in drumming and a 5th in ensemble. So a bit of a difference of opinion there between drumming and ensemble again. It's rearing its head again, isn't it? Yeah, but yeah, 5th place, placing in the top 5. In 6th place then was Buchan Peterson. There you go, with a 6th and a 4th in piping, 3rd in drumming, however 12th in ensemble. Yeah, so we're again seeing differences of opinion here. Now, as much as I'm sort of picking holes in it and all of that, yeah, I think that's the reason behind the conversation around the dinner table. And that's kind of what sparked me to look back through all the other grades to see, did this happen at any other point in the day? And as it turned out, yes, it did. All other grades seem to have this very same problem, differences of opinion between drumming judge and ensemble judge. And you know what, folks? I don't think we're going to solve this mystery in this week's show, but it certainly makes for an interesting talking point over dinner, doesn't it? There you are. So you can go and check it out yourselves. These are all up there. But that grade 2 competition, man, people kind of laugh at me when I call it the ridiculous grade.
Oh, come on, Rab, would you knock it off with the ridiculous grade?
But seriously, all right, enough of the FX machine. But yeah, people are getting tired of me calling it that, but genuinely seeing the standard that's on offer in grade 2 here, unbelievable, man. And well done to Uddingston. Definitely deserved that Scottish championship. Well done. All right, let's move on to grade 1. And of course, we mentioned it earlier, and you've probably seen all the news outlets by now. Field Marshal Montgomery walked away as Scottish champions for 2025. Yes, there you go. Well done to FM. 2 firsts in piping, a 6th in drumming, however. Well down the pecking order in the drumming. And yeah, 1st in ensemble. There you are. It's not a bad day at the office for Field Marshal. And a lot of Field Marshal fans, very happy with that result, of course. Yeah. So we did upload the video of that performance. You can go and check that out now on the Rab Show YouTube channel. It is a pleasure to watch for sure. FM could definitely thump a tune this season. They've been doing so well. And yeah, deserved Scottish champions. Well done. In second place then was Inverary in District. They did so with a 2nd and 3rd in piping. They split the piping actually with the 3rd place finisher. They had a 4th in drumming and a 2nd in ensemble. And that was enough points wise to put them into that runner-up spot there behind Field Marshal. Well done, Inverary. In 3rd place then was Shots and Dykehead, Caledonia. Yeah, we mentioned them earlier, of course, in their big concert and having only a few tickets left. Well, yeah, Shots split the piping result with Inverary and finished in that 3rd spot. So are they a force to reckon with this year? Yes, I would argue absolutely. Don't sleep on Shots this year. Possible dark horse. However, they did finish 7th in drumming on the day, so well down the pecking order when you consider there was 10 in the grade. However, they were 3rd in ensemble, so again, we're seeing that difference of opinion between drumming judge and ensemble judge. Yeah, but again, I wasn't in that circle, so don't know what they heard, so I guess we'll wait and see on that front. But yeah, there's more interesting differences here to talk about. In 4th place, we have Police Scotland Fife. Definitely thumped a big tune on the day, and I was really entertained by Fife. And I'm really thoroughly enjoying the music of Fife Police this last while, especially since their concert in Aberdeen earlier this year. The band have really been cooking. So yeah, shout out to Police Scotland Fife. Great result there. In 5th place, St. Lawrence O'Toole, and man, did they play for it. Woo, what a run. In fact, they lifted the drumming on the day as well. So well done to St. Lawrence O'Toole. In fact, am I right in saying this? That's 2 major championships now and 2 major drumming titles. Hey, I don't know. There you go. Congratulations to St. Lawrence O'Toole there. Definitely thumped a big tune. And that was them in the top 5. In 6th spot then was People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate, Caledonia. And yeah, they were the runner-up in the drumming prize, actually. Yeah, so there you go. So your grade 1 Big Guns action, it did not disappoint. There was so much great music in here. Honestly, What a grade. Yeah. Now, I have to give special mention, of course, to all the rest of the bands that were in there. Scottish Power, who finished 7th. A lot of people are talking about their selection. They played thoroughly entertaining. In eighth place, actually, was Ravara. Yeah, newly upgraded to Grade 1, and here they are. Yeah, placing in 8th place, defeating bands such as 9th place finisher Closs Celts and 10th place finisher Johnstone. There you go. So not a bad weekend's work there for the folks at Ravara. Well done. Now, as well as me saying, Field Marshal Montgomery thumped a big tune. Inverary did the same. So did Shots, Fife, Slot, Boggies, Power, Ravara, Closs Celt, Johnstone. If you do want to go and watch the entire grade, you can go and check out our channel on the Big Rab Show. Of course, we have captured what we can of the grade, but we did have our challenges that day. We didn't manage to capture it all. You can go along to Drone Chorus, who is periodically uploading performances from Dumbarton, and you can go and check all of those out. Wow, is all I will say. These bands did not make it easy for the judges, okay? That's my opinion here. And as much as we are seeing arguments between drumming judges and ensemble judges, I think that's the story of the day, that they didn't make it easy for our judges. The very fact that our judges are disagreeing like this shows that standards are high. And, when judges can be looking for simple things like mistakes or possibly things out of tune or things that are obviously going wrong, well, clearly it isn't that simple anymore. Even as far as the Grade 4B competitions from grassroots piping, we're starting to see disagreements in judging, where perhaps the mistakes element or the bad blowing and things out of tune element doesn't exist anymore in competitive piping. If anything, that's been my experience this season. I've certainly noticed it's been quite a huge change in standard from, this past couple of years to this, and they have definitely risen. That's my opinion. You can absolutely believe and tell me. Stuff the Rab got wrong. But genuinely, I do think that standards have definitely risen. And yeah, I think these differences of opinion are a testament to that, that they're not making things easy for our judges. And yeah, perhaps that's why we're seeing these differences of opinion, because it doesn't come down to whether the performance was better. It actually just comes down to the judge's opinion. And that's food for thought there. But yes, congratulations to the Field Marshal Montgomery and to all of our Scottish champions. If you did pick up a prize in that top 6 at all in any grade, well done. And of course to your drum majors as well. Well done, everybody. All right. So to wrap up everything with our Scottish championships, we do have some weekly drones to get through. Yeah, we did get a number of these. So let's rattle through these then. JD, kick us off. What's our first weekly drone about the Scottish championships, mate?
It's the weekly drone.
Grade 2, not so ridiculous now. Rab. Once again, Grade 2 was a 2-horse race. While Annan won the drumming, the top 2 bands are definitely pulling away from the rest.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I disagree. I think the standard in Grade 2 across the board, you might well talk about the prizes in Grade 2, and there's 2 bands clearly pulling away from everyone else. I don't know. Yeah, politely, Weekly Droner, unfortunately, I do disagree. Yeah, I think any of our top 6 finishers there, in fact, any of the top 10 finishers in that grade, absolutely could thump a tune and win it on their day. I did mention Uddingston and how much of a force to be reckoned with they are. Of course, the Glasgow Sky. Wow. Then we have the Royal Borough. Of course, that band can absolutely melt your face whenever they want to. So, they can have a really good day at the office too. Manor Cunningham? Are you kidding me? Did you hear the run that they had in Ebrington Square when they lifted the All-Irelands? Oh my God. They were amazing. And Grampian Police Scotland, Buck and Peterson, definitely both bands that can thump a big tune. So, I don't know. Politely, Weekly Droner, and respectfully, I disagree. All right, let's move on. I have another weekly drone on the shelf here. Do we, JD? Let us have it.
It's the weekly drum.
Scottish results. Hi, Rab and team. Firstly, thanks for filming the results on Saturday. They were painfully long to watch. Could they actually take any longer? Something needs to be done about this. Many bands have traveled from afar to attend, leaving at 5 a.m. To still be standing on the field at 7 p.m. is unacceptable. I think there is a lack of enthusiasm for the drum majors results. Barely a cheer from what I could see. A lot of bands just want to hear their own grade and grade 1 by this point in the day. I think they need to split the results. Drum majors separately in the day. They took forever to come up and collect their trophies. Not good enough.
The old chestnut with the march past. Yeah, you raised a number of issues there, including no cheers for the drum majors when they lifted their prizes. Well, I'm going to kind of defend our drum majors a little bit. A good number of the drum majors that lifted prizes at the Scottish, well, their bands weren't there. Yeah, I'm going to throw that out there. So perhaps there wasn't a huge audience to cheer for the drum major who lifted a prize because all of their bandmates would have been cheering at home watching the live stream. Anyway, but yes, I do take your point. The march past did seem to take forever and a week. And yeah, I just don't know how we're going to solve this problem. Genuinely. We've spoke about this march past thing now for ages on the show, and it just doesn't seem to be getting any better. Now, as to how we fix it, a million different things that we could try, and we've spoke about it on the show. But one of the things that we've done here in the Northern Ireland branch specifically is the massed band, where everyone marches on all at once. Now, that's kind of the American model. I have seen that, and I've took part in it myself in competitions in the United States. It does seem to speed things up, because as soon as you say quick march, then everyone hits the opening rolls, you play one tune, done. Everybody's there. You don't have to stand around for an hour and a half waiting for people to march on. Eyes right, salute the chieftain. You know, where are we standing, boys? Oh, counter march, left wheel. Counter, what are we doing? Here, just stand there over here. Stand there. No bother, right? Speeches, right? Get the big wigs on with the chains. Come on, you come now. Get your speeches on. I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. Yous are all powerful, right? I would like to give a bunch of flowers to this boy. Enough already. So how do we fix it? No idea. But there is a traditional way of doing it, and a lot of the traditionalists out there will not want to see that change. And that's what we experienced here with the Scottish. We stuck with tradition, and things went pretty slowly as a result. Now, whether that could be with the actual lifting of prizes or not, you know, by the time you've went up, shook hands, took a photograph of the paper, all that kind of stuff, that process does take time. How we can streamline that, I have no idea. But, I don't know. It's one of those things I think that the association are very keenly aware of. That, you know, they're not sitting there with the hands over their eyes. They are aware that people are concerned about the length of time this is taking. And I do think that there is a focus group or something like that in headquarters to kind of look at this issue. I do believe it was talked about at the last AGM there earlier this year. So will we see it further develop this year? Don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see on that front. But an interesting weekly drone, raising a good concern that has definitely been noted for this year's Scottish for sure. Yeah. All right, JD, I think we have time for one more, and then I'm going to wrap things up with the Scottish because, this pod's going on for way too long. All right, JD, lay it on us, mate. Give us another weekly drone about the Scottish Championships, please.
It's the weekly drone.
Tenor madness. Watching the Grade 1 bands at Dumbarton on Saturday, and one thing is evidently clear. Tenor drummers need to calm down. They are hitting the drums with so much whack now, and it's pretty much from start to finish. In some bands, there was little to no ambulation between loud and soft. just a lot of noise continually, which overtook the very essence of the musical performance. Drum sergeants have responsibility to ensure their tenor drummers play as part of the drum corps as a whole unit, and the pipe majors need to grab their drum corps and remind them that it's a pipe band, not a drum band with some piping accompaniment. Let's not even start discussing the swinging elements. Seriously, the majority of their movements are adding little to no value to the performance, and they are more distracting to the spectators and no doubt the adjudication. One band in particular looked like their tenor drummers were doing a fitness regime with the amount of movement. Their whole bodies were gyrating and bobbing from the minute one, and every time they hit their drum, they bounced their sticks over their heads and not in any timing with the rhythm. It very much looked out of unison and consistently appears as if each one of them was trying to get the main focus on them, like a Kardashian walking into the circle of paparazzi. The overhitting was also evident from them and so many others. The main focus should be on the sound and playing together. The fancy swinging is admirable, but not when it becomes the center of the entire performance. I was very disappointed with the majority of performances in Grade 1. It's out of control. Tenor drummers are not the center of the universe, and maybe someone needs to remind them to calm it down. But to be equal, a few bands did have rather great tenors playing the music, adding general warmth to the piping, with well thought out beatings and rhythmic passages that were subtly woven into their sets, with great light and shade with the snare companions, and together with their swinging displays that were competent and worked well with the rhythms, and did genuinely add to the visible spectacle without overtaking. Well done to them. Standout tenors for me were Schatz and the lassies from Kloskelt. I must say, it wasn't confined to just Grade 1. I did spot some of these acrobatics creeping into the lower grades earlier in the day. Perhaps too much watching of World's live streams and not enough self-identity being brought into core up and down the regions. Standout band for me was Inverary on the day. Best piping and great snare drumming. However, not with that tenor party happening in the middle. That wrecked it. Good to see the Shots getting recognition for their hard piping work. Good luck to the bands for the next competition, which sadly I won't get to.
Wow. Weekly Droner. Where the heck do I start with that? Okay, now, we all have opinions in the piping world, all right? Now, again, I can stress that I am by no means an expert in this. But, again, I have to respectfully disagree with your opinion here. Your thoughts and opinions on tenor drumming definitely seem to be more of a traditional view. You're not a fan of modern-day tenor drumming as it currently sits. And we've spoke about tenor drumming quite a bit here on the show and how it can absolutely make or break a performance. But as for your critique as to what took place in the Grade 1 circle with tenor drumming this past weekend, I don't think I'm going to be alone in saying this, that respectfully, I do disagree with what you've said. I do think that a lot of the tenor drumming that was on offer in Grade 1, yes, it certainly is a step up from where they were last season. There are moments within the music where the tenor drums actually carry the rhythm more than the snare line. In fact, there's some Grade 1 bands that have their snare line completely drop out and the tune is carried by the midsection. And that has been a trend now, not just for one or two bands, but I would argue across all 10 bands that were competing this past weekend in Dumbarton. As for the visual element of tenor drumming, that is another can of worms altogether that I really don't quite understand too well. But from my experience, the visual element of tenor drumming is certainly a part of it, and the coordination of it all takes hours and hours of practice. And I would argue that the visual element of it is every bit as much needed as the actual drumming part of it. Yes, granted, the drumming part of it is essential. You wouldn't be carrying a drum if you weren't going to play it. So yeah, you are called a tenor drummer. So the drumming part of it is essential, but the visual part of it as well is equally as essential. And that would be my humble opinion here. So as for your incredibly strong opinions when it comes to tenor drumming and standards of drumming and that old chestnut that I have heard so many times, that you need to remind drummers it's a pipe band, not a drum band. You are going to drive me to... Yeah, find my bleep button. That old chestnut, I don't know. It's a band, all right? Regardless whether it's a pipe band or a drum band, either way, it's an ensemble. It's a unit of musicians who want to put on the best possible presentation. And by picking holes like you just did there in your weekly drone, it does leave a very sour taste in my mouth. From the point of view that, these musicians have worked tirelessly to present their musical interpretation of the music in the best way possible. And by picking holes in it and saying that it doesn't match your standard of what you believe a tenor drum should do in an ensemble piece, well, that is just your opinion. So, I don't know. I'm going to respectfully get off of my high horse and, respectfully disagree. However, your opinions, you're not alone in that. I have heard other people out there uttering the same sort of thing. That, whenever tenor drums do punch through and you can actively hear them above the snare line, for example, perhaps there is an important line or even a key change or a different cadence that's needed in that rhythmical push where tenor drummers are definitely needed to help punch that through, where snares just won't cut it. Well, yeah, there's those out there that don't like it. And perhaps are of the adage that tenor drummers should always be seen and not heard. That's a controversial one to finish on, I think, but definitely some food for thought. And I would love to know your opinions on tenor drumming. Yeah, especially this past season where tenor drums have definitely seemed to have come into their own. They're definitely their own discipline. And in my opinion, they do contribute a lot to the overall musical performance. And I don't know. Do you agree with our weekly droner and perhaps less is more? Or, are you, I don't know, behind me perhaps and saying that where modern tenor drumming is right now is where it's at? I don't know. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on it, and perhaps we will debate this on a future show. But weekly droner, apologies that you're not going to make it to the next major. And hopefully the tenor drumming will be to your liking at that one. Either way, we're going to do our best to keep you thoroughly entertained here on the Big Rab Show. And we'll be back again next week as we tackle another topic of the week. And we'll be wrapping up everything from this weekend's Maxville competition. Good luck, everybody there. And, of course, the Ulster Championships taking place in Portrush this weekend. Really looking forward to that. Of course, if you do want to follow all the action, we will be doing our best to keep you updated on all of it across our socials. And, until next week when we're back again here for another Rab Show podcast. Yeah. If you do want to send us in your own weekly drone on anything we've talked about this week, or even some of the strong opinions that were just voiced there towards the end, you can go to our website, thebigrabshow.com, the big red button at the top of the page, send weekly drone. And your thoughts and opinions could be on next week's show. All right, folks, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this week and each and every week. And we'll be back again next week for even more bagpipe and goodness. That is another podcast in the can. I love that bleep button. Yeah, and I'll be back again next week. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you all in the next one. All the best.
Well, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thanks so much for downloading this week. And a special thank you to our sponsor, G1 Reeds. Played by bands around the world, they are the champion's choice. Check out g1reeds.com for all of your piping needs. Don't forget to check out thebigrabshow.com to be kept up to date with all of the latest news and views from around the piping world. And also, check us out on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get your hands on tons of extra piping goodness and be a part of the Patreon faithful. So, until next week, folks, we'll see you right here on the Big Rab Show podcast. All the best.